Welcome to Web Accessibility with Thrive and accessiBe. I'm Rafi, this is Aaron, and we're happy to present an accessibility conversation today. If you have any questions that we don't answer today, we would love to hear them. Feel free to contact Aaron or myself. With all that being said, let's dive in.
Excellent. Thanks, Rafi. So we have just a couple of questions that our clients typically ask us, about accessibility overall. What is ADA compliance, that sort of thing. So we're just gonna go through all of those questions, and then Rafi will answer those for us. So the first question is, well, what is accessibility? What is ADA compliance, and what's the difference?
Good question. So accessibility is someone being able to have equal access and use a website the same way anyone else would. ADA compliance is a little bit more complicated because unfortunately, the Americans with Disabilities Act was written before websites were really a thing, and it's been updated a little bit, but not for the modern era. So there's a little bit of confusing legal language in there that says you must make reasonable best efforts to make your website accessible and provide equal access to all. Good luck proving you made a reasonable best effort, right? So luckily, there is one internationally recognized set of guidelines for accessibility. That's the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG. We're right now at version 2.1 AA. That's the version that's internationally accepted. We're actually, as accessiBe, we're actually on the board of the W3C, which is the organization that makes these rules. So we will do our best to keep everything as updated as possible.
Perfect. So why does my website have to be ADA compliant?
Because I said so. No, I had to. Your website has to be accessible because it's the law, frankly. It's also the right thing to do, right? Like if you had, God forbid, a child or a family member or a friend who has a disability, you wouldn't want them to not be able to buy your products or get your information because of that disability. It's just morally wrong. So aside from that, it is the law. You will get sued. You will get fined. And if you're not accessible when you get sued, it's almost a guarantee that you are going to lose that case because whoever's complaining about it is right. So you should be accessible for all those reasons. And I would also just add, it's not that difficult to do, and it's not that expensive either.
Excellent. Thank you. So how much would a typical ADA compliance lawsuit even cost?
Well, the lawsuit itself, you're looking at around 25 to 30K on the average settlement, and that's not including legal fees. So, you're going to have to defend yourself or pay a lawyer. That's going to cost a bunch of money. It's also going to be all the time involved. Very, very easily, these things can get into $50,000 to $100,000. It's also lost business, lost revenue, all these other things. If you settle with these attorneys like they want from you and you don't go to court, they'll take $5,000, they might take 10, and then they'll go away. But there's nothing stopping them from messaging their friend who's also an attorney to come after you in 2 weeks, which is something that we've heard of happening. Of course, I'm not going to name any names, but that kind of stuff does happen. So the best thing to do is to be compliant ahead of time so that you're not vulnerable to these things in the first place.
Excellent. Thank you. So these lawsuits, are they typically going after like the really big websites? I mean, if my website's small, do I have to worry about this?
Unfortunately, yeah. So I will tell you a quick story. About a year ago, year and a half even, we had 400 acupuncturists from San Diego sign up for our service within the space of a week. None of them had talked to a salesperson. And our product's good, but it's not that good. So we were a little bit curious and we called a bunch of them. Turns out they all got the same demand letter in the space of 3 days from the same person. This is how these things work. They are ambulance chasers. They are patent trolls. These are the types of attorneys. They get a list of businesses in a certain industry and just start blasting them with these emails. Because if you ignore it, there's a good chance, if you ignore it, they might let it go. They might take it to court and force a judgment on you. If you don't ignore it, they're going to bully you into paying a settlement or going to court. Either way, they win. It's a really dirty business. So there's a very, very good chance that if you're a random mom and pop restaurant and you have a small website, you will never get hit. There's every chance of that. But if you do get hit, it's a $25,000 plus hit that a lot of businesses cannot afford. And the prevention, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Well, the prevention here is $500 a year. The potential damage is $25,000.
Okay. So after Thrive Web Designs installs accessiBe for us, how do we stay compliant? I mean, is it automatic?
Yeah, that's the best part. So there's always things that you can do to improve your website, of course, and make it more usable for people with and without disabilities. But our tool is something that never permanently changes your website. We let you keep the design that you spent so much money to build and all of this other stuff. But we have this little widget in the bottom that lets anybody customize the website to their own needs without impacting anybody else's experience. So as long as that widget stays functioning, that website's going to work whenever somebody needs it to. We also do a full scan every 24 hours or every update, whichever comes first, to make sure that you're always as compliant as possible.
Perfect. And so does accessiBe guarantee that we won't get sued?
I wish. Unfortunately, this is America. Fortunately, this is America. I love America. Yay. But our legal system sometimes leaves some things to be desired. Unfortunately, anybody can sue anybody for anything, whether they have grounds or not. So we can't stop you from getting the letter, but we have litigation support included in the cost of every license. There's never an additional fee for it. We've actually helped more than 5,000 clients resolve these types of demand letters and lawsuits with no fees. We've actually never had a client successfully sued after installing the tool.
Beautiful. So I've seen other accessibility widgets. How is accessiBe better?
Well, I work here, so I'm going to tell you it's better. I'm just joking. accessiBe is different for a couple of reasons. One, we are really the first movers in this space, so we have a little bit of an advantage as far as how much we've been able to invest in research and development. And now we're coming out with products that a lot of our competitors don't want to provide and can't provide. So not only do we have the leading widget on the market, we also provide Access Flow. Access Flow is an advanced tool for developers that want to do their accessibility manually. This tool gives them a running dashboard of every piece of code on the website. Is it accessible? Is it not? If it's not, it gives you a suggested fix. We have a whole team of in-house web developers, people with disabilities, and other skills so that we can provide manual services like manual remediation, user testing, auditing, things like that. And we continue to work with people with disabilities every day to make sure that this is not just a compliance checkbox, that this is something that improves the usability for everybody and helps you get conversions on your website. This is the other thing that we try to focus on that other people in this space don't. This is a revenue opportunity, and we're going to help you get it. Because the thing is, we have strong Nielsen data showing that the community of people with disabilities is by far the most likely to bring you repeat business and referrals. They're the most likely to talk positively about you. And if you think about it, it makes sense. People with disabilities are very rarely catered to. If you as a business go out of your way a little bit to cater to them and make sure that they're taken care of, they're going to take care of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So how much will accessiBe cost me? So you said $500 before. I mean, is that the same price for every size website?
So if you're under 1,000 pages, which is 99% of the websites, you're going to be at $500 a year. Depending on if you want additional services, you might want, a little bit more advanced reporting, or you might want a user test on something or something like that. We can do that a la carte. But the basic package gives you the coverage that you need at $500 a year. It's actually $490. It's $10 less.
Excellent. And then is there like a time frame on this? Do I have to get accessiBe now, or what happens if I need to wait a couple months?
It's up to you, right? I think you should get it as soon as possible, because the longer you have this risk out there, the more likely it is something's going to happen. I will also say it's not life or death, right? Like, there is, and I don't mean to shoot myself in the foot here, but to make everybody out there a little bit more comfortable, there is almost always in most states at least a 14-day period after you receive the demand letter where they give you time to remediate the issues and show them that you've fixed the issues without penalty. And in a lot of those cases, we can help because our tool takes effect within 48 hours. So some people prefer to wait until they get a lawsuit to deal with this. I think that's not so smart for obvious reasons. I would not recommend anyone to wait until they get sued to solve a problem. But in many cases, we are able to help you even if that happens. So to wrap up, buy it now because you don't want to wait and you don't want to be shocked and horrified by this lawsuit and then have to deal with it. But if your budget, oh, we can only do it in January, I get it. It happens. Do it as soon as you can.
Excellent. Yeah. Personally, I like to sleep easy at night. I like to have that peace of mind.
I agree.